Hey everyone, it's Teresa, and today we are going to go over some great, beautiful rustic glam DIYs. So first off, we are going to start off with the spindle and a round thing from Hobby Lobby for the base, and then also a small one from Hobby Lobby. Now for this, because it obviously has a screw in it, we are going to have to drill a hole into the bottom. And because I'm incapable of finding the middle point, I had my husband do it. And then we're going to stain it all, or so to speak, stain it with this wood tint from Folk Art. And see here, I was trying to find the center point here, and I had to ask my husband again to help me. Basically, what you can do is you can kind of draw a line, from one part to another. Make sure, check yourself again, and then find yourself your center point. You can measure it however you like to do it. Like I said, I had him help me because I can't find the middle of anything. And I went ahead and added some wood glue down, and I didn't want to just squirt it on either of those pieces of wood. So I got a paintbrush and just kind of splopped it back on there. And we're going to add just a little bit of hot glue as well, just because I don't want to, I don't want it to fall over. And even though I did this, it it still fell over. And I ended up having just to scrape off the glue and start again. So just FYI, don't move it. I tried to I wiggle it a little bit, and that was not a good idea. Don't do that. Bad idea. So anyways, here it is. I let it sit for a few hours. And now we're going to screw it into the bottom part. If you have one that you've cut down from like an old chair or something, you can just glue both sides. Don't worry about it if you don't have a screw to put down. I bought it at Lowe's like that with the screw, so I had that to work with. And we're going to go in with some plaster from Waverly, and we're going to give it just a really nice, all over brushing. Obviously, I'm doing this pretty quickly. I'm not really focused too much on any rhyme or reason. On more of the spindle part, I'm kind of keeping it going as I go around, just to make it a little easier on where my hands are. If I went from top to bottom, you're going to end up running into it. And I mean, it does dry really fast when you're doing, this dry brushing. So I wouldn't worry too terribly much about it. Just do however you want to paint it, however you want to distress it. You could have also, of course, sanded down stuff to get back down to that natural wood color. Just kind of depends on what you want to do. One thing I will say, since I used this wood tint, it is water-based, and I think it really soaks it up. So you can obviously use a regular stain as well. So now that we've done this, we need to add a little bit something more. Obviously, you can stop here, and you could probably say that about just about every step of this process. If you want to stop at any point, you can do that. So I'm going to add some twine to the bottom, and to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm going to leave a pretty long tail. You see that there? And then we're going to start wrapping it around, and make sure you're avoiding that tail if you choose to do it the way I did. Just kind of wrap it all around, and I'm going to go off of off to the side to do it. And now you're going to leave another really long tail, and you're going to go ahead and tie it now just in a knot. And we're going to wrap some lace around. This is Dollar Tree lace, nothing, particularly fancy. And then I'm going to glue this down. Basically, my idea here was I want to do this, glamour-ish, kind of thing to the spindle and everything right now, but I might want to take it off at another time. I may want it just to be the whitewashed look. Or I might paint it again. Who knows? So I don't want to do anything that would be too terribly permanent. So it's up to you, when you're adding all your little embellishments of how permanent you want these things to be. So I put down the hot glue, and notice I put it on top of the twine. So it's easy to take off if I want to. And now I'm just going to make a little bow and pull it tight. Just kind of kind of pull down your bow parts. You leave it as a bow. You could do something else. I'm going to show you in a minute. So I'm going to kind of glue it down because I don't want the tails. I don't know why. I just didn't really want the tails. So I glue it down a little bit, which is a small little piece of hot glue, so I can cut down the tails. And we're going to take this little, I don't even know what to call it, rope of beads, of pearls, what have you. They're just from Joann's. I want to say the whole pack, regular price is $2 $2.50, and it was on sale, so it really was pretty inexpensive. So as you can see, what I do is I put a tiny little bead of hot glue down on one spot, and then you're going to do like, I basically did like in the middle, and then I'll do it on the end. And if you have any pieces like that are kind of like pressing out, you know how, you know what I mean? Like obviously it's round and it's trying to come up a little bit because it's pulled kind of tight. You're going to want to, oh, see, I messed up. I didn't glue it in just the right spot. So if you get it while it's warm, it's not too difficult to get it to, you know, pull up. You see, it's kind of winding up a little bit. So what I do end up doing after is just kind of adding little bits of glue to it wherever it felt like it needed. And I felt like it needed a little something more on this spot here. And you're just going to add just the tiniest little dot there. And here they are, all finished. They look beautiful. I love them. I love them. All right, next one is we're going to do this wood round. This is from Lowe's. I want to say it was like $15, $20. They're not inexpensive. So we're doing the same thing with the wood tint. To be really honest, I probably would have been better off just doing a regular stain, but I wanted it to be the same tone of this like walnut color, and I also am very lazy. I did not feel like staining it outside. It's not cold here, but I still didn't feel like going outside to stain it. So, and the stuff dries really fast. So we're just gonna go over it. And one thing about this, when I was if you take the time and like really shear it out, you could probably skip using like a paper towel, but I did not. So, and plus this is a lot of area to cover, so I feel like it's a lot easier just to, you know, go in with your paper towel and kind of wipe it off. I would really recommend, if you have the time and patience to wait for it, is to use a regular stain on it. That would have been a lot easier. So see, I've kind of put it on. Obviously it's pretty patchy, smudgy and all that. I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of wipe it down. I'm not terribly worried about it because here in a minute we are going to do that whitewash on this as well. And I do end up doing the sides of it, but again, lazy, I didn't do the bottom. You'll see it in a minute. I'm sorry. Sammy, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I didn't do the bottom. That was another thing I wanted to mention. Obviously here you can see I am going to go ahead and add the same stain to the little feet. A lot of my projects today are really inspired by Sammy from Unicorn Dust Design. She does a ton of stuff with wood. There was one particular one where she actually did those, not those same candlesticks, candle pillars, whatever you call them. It's not the same as what I did. But it's similar in a lot of aspects. So I'm going to link her below. I love her channel. She's just super, super nice person as far as, you know, if you ever talk to her. And I'm going to link below because I definitely did get inspired by one of her videos. And I'm going to link the specific one below for you to check out if you like this, you know, look. So obviously we had let the stain, we're going to call it a stain, dry. And then I'm going in with the same plaster from Waverly, giving it a really good like dry brush. So you're like right there, I got a little too heavy on it, but it's all right. We're gonna fix it. I wiped it down just a little bit with the paper towel to kind of get rid of that. See, now you can't even really pick it out. And I had kind of like stood back a little, let it kind of see if I liked it or not. When I'm doing those bigger pieces like this, I like to do a lot less at the beginning. You know what I mean? Like building it up gradually, making sure that you're happy with it, because if you had to take it off, it would be a lot harder to do that. Whereas with like these smaller pieces, I'm not so much worried about it. I just kind of threw it on there really thick. Wasn't worried about it if I had to, you know, figure a way out of taking it off. Plus I had an extra 4. Those are from Joann. I was fortunate. I had a 50% off coupon. They were like, I want to say $8 for 8 of them. I will link them below if I can find them for you. But again, 50% off definitely didn't make it, you know, it wasn't too bad. And they're not really beads because they're actually meant to be like the feet on stuff. See, the one side of it is flat. So now we're going to flip it over and add our feet. And again, I'm sorry, Sammy, if you're watching this, I didn't do the bottom. I had a reason for it though. I didn't want to do the bottom just in case I somehow down the line decide I don't love this. And I can just take the feet off, sand it down. It'd be a lot easier to sand down the back side of it since there's nothing on it. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be outside, so it's going to be an indoor piece of decor. So we do the same kind of idea. Is we're going to do the wood glue down on the feet, and then we're going to add just a little bit of hot glue, And to put them down, I'm actually using, at least for these two, the first two are going to be using kind of like the lines that are on the wood round. Again, Sammy taught me that. And then I'm really eyeballing it. I probably should have, measured it out and everything like that, but I just decided it was on the bottom. It wasn't the end of the world if it wasn't exactly perfect. I honestly, when I was done with it, I couldn't tell that if it was or wasn't in the right spot. So I'm going to go with it's in the right spot. So I just mostly eyeballed it. I mean, you're only putting the 4 down, so don't worry too much about it. So here it is, all finished up. I didn't want to add any glam to this one though. I kind of wanted to keep it a little more neutral, a little bit easier to go with other things. So I do want to mention I am going to be co-hosting a challenge with that crafting lady. Her name is Cindy. She's amazing. And if you like decor like this, I am going to be doing a 5 under 5 for that on the same kind of motif as this stuff. So let's go ahead and get back into it. And we are going to be using one of these silver trays from Dollar Tree. Now, some of these steps you could really skip because I didn't end up really needing to do them, but I threw them in here anyways. I'm going to start off by putting down a coat of the plaster paint, again, from Waverly. And again, I probably could have skipped this, at least where I'm painting right now. I don't know. I thought I was going to go a different direction with this one, but it ends up being completely different than the way I had thought it was going to be, at least. And this one was kind of inspired a little bit too. One of my friends over on YouTube, you're on YouTube. One of my friends that's here on YouTube with me, Rhonda from the Distressed Princess, recently did something with one of these trays and I loved it. So this isn't anything like it, but I figured I liked it and I wanted to give her a shout out. She'll be linked below too. I tried this acrylic gold paint from Target and it didn't work very well, so I ditched that idea and went over to the folk art metallic paint in gold, pure gold. I'm not entirely sure, I cannot recall. I will link it below if I can find it. And I'm going to do it around kind of the edges, and you'll see in a minute why I decided to go with the gold. At first I was just going to like distress it and bring back the silver in it, but I like the way it ended up better. I felt like the gold was a little more glam. So you see that paper, that scrapbook paper, that's from a pack, I want to say from Joann's. I got it at like half off, so super good deal. I'm just going to mark it down, kind of get an idea of where it's going to be in that middle part of the tray. And see, there it is. That was probably like 2-ish, 3-ish coats. And then we're going to go in with some antique wax to give it a little bit of a distressed look. Again, this is kind of like rustic glam, at least my interpretation of what that means. So give it a good coating of it. I mean, I don't want to get rid of the gold, definitely not. I mean, this ended up looking really pretty with the gold color to it. Obviously, as you can tell in the middle, you don't have to go and paint the entire thing gold. It would have been a lot easier just to spray paint this sucker gold. So if you end up liking this overall look, that's what I would suggest doing. If I was going to do it again, trying to get the look I got, that's what I would have done. So you're just going to add, I did quite a bit of it because I really wanted to look almost a little rusted, kind of, sort of, a little bit. All right, so I added in this you can skip as well. I added some little dabs of white, of the same, plaster that we painted originally. And then I decided I didn't really like that either. So I kind of kept going with it though, because I was like, well, darn it, now that I've put it down. And then I'm going to go over most of that again with that antique wax. Because, I don't know, why not? Why not add some more steps? Again, you could totally skip this. I definitely recommend just spray paint it gold, add your antique wax to it if you want to. So we're just going to dab it all on like the white spots. In reality, I guess it gave it a little bit more of that antique wax. I even did it, I think, while the white paint was still a little wet. So it's all right. It turned out good. So I cut down my scrapbook paper to fit, and I'm just going to glue it down. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue along the edges. I don't want to put it down like in the middle. I didn't think it needed that. I mean, stuff is going to sit on top of it. It's not like it's going to go anywhere. And just to add a little bit more, because this, I think that's what glam is. You know, I've decided glam decor is just to keep adding, keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. So I'm going to go in the same, thing of beads. Again, this pearl bead thing from Joann's, I did a good amount with it on these projects, and I have a lot. If you check out my video that's coming up on the 21st, and I'm pretty sure it's the 21st, you're going to see these again. So if you like this kind of look, go ahead and check out that video because it's going to have a lot more of this kind of thing, and each item will be under $5 to make. So definitely check it out if you like this kind of thing. So I ended up adding a lot more glue as I went along on this part of it, as opposed to when I added the pearls to the other projects, because I'm not too terribly worried. You know, I don't have a ton of money invested in this, you know, not that the other ones cost a lot. I'll give you an idea down in the description of how much everything roughly cost, or where I got it, like always. And this way it's like, you know, if I end up needing to take off the beads, I'm not really at a loss for much. But I do end up liking the way this turns out, and you'll see that in just a few minutes whenever I get done torturing you, watching me put down every bead of glue. But don't worry, it'll be over soon. So I'm just about done, and I think that this works easier, and that rather than cutting it like to fit it, I just keep going until I find where the good spot to end is. Otherwise, I don't know about you, but I always end up with like one too short, one too many. And then when you cut it down, you're like, well, geez, now I have one tiny little piece of bead. It's a waste. We don't like to be wasteful. Here is how it turned out. It's really pretty. I have to say, I'm surprised I like it as much as I do, but I like it. Last one, we're going to do one of these really quick and easy things. We spray painted a Dollar Tree piece of glassware, and I dripped the spray paint everywhere. It's like I had forgotten how to spray paint. And now this step right here is the way I thought I was going to fix it. I would highly recommend don't bother. Again, I'm happy with the way it ended up, but I thought like, oh, well, I'll just distress it with some sandpaper. And I ended up getting it all over my hands, of course. And then I was like, well, when in doubt, add antique wax. I swear, it's like you mess up on something, add antique wax. You don't like the way it looks, add antique wax. Again, I could have skipped this, but it's okay. It's gonna come together, guys. It's gonna come together. So I just go over it, you know, dry brush it on, and it definitely did not adhere to the spots where you distressed it down to the glass. So we're gonna go in with plaster. We're going to dry brush on some plaster. I would definitely recommend, if you do want to do this, go top to bottom with it. I did a couple, you know, brush strokes of it or whatever, from like left to right, top to bottom. That ended up working a lot better. It was a lot easier. This would be my recommendation. I'm on the fence on whether or not I like that I had like some of the glass showing through. I'm going to go with I think I'm neutral on it. So to add a little bit more rustic, since we distressed it, I'm going to go ahead and add twine. It's like, when in doubt, twine or antique wax, or both in this case. Just, you know, add both. We're just going to string that all around. I just put a little bit of dab just to get it started. And then once you're done, you will find your way to finish it off. And then you'll add a little bit more. All right, so we're gonna go back with the pearls, and we're just gonna wrap that around just a couple of times. You don't need a lot. I want a lot of that twine to show, but I wanted just to give it a little bit more of a touch of glam at the bottom. And you could easily do this with rhinestones if that's what you have, because that would definitely fall into that same, glam stuff, but I didn't have any, so I went with the pearls. So here it is. I added some Dollar Tree floral to it, and it looks just absolutely beautiful. Here's all of our projects of the day. I think they look amazing. I personally absolutely love them. They're really even great for Valentine's Day. So I want to thank everybody for checking everything out. If you are new here, please consider subscribing, ring the bell, set your notifications, like this video, you know the whole deal. And I will see you again next time.